Xuan had removed most of the fire poison, and there was only a little bit left. The fire poison had started acting up, and it was destroying Snow Express's defense and was going towards the heart. All the fire poison was removed, and in his spiritual ocean, Daydream Brother was present, tried to get to know who that was trying to cause a problem when he was there. Xuan had stopped the bleeding and closed the wound. Yu coughed a little and spitted some blood out. It was all up to him. He was then asked to take over and try to control the flow of soul power in his body. Even though the fire poison was removed from his body, the soul power which was stored in his body was simply too large. They had to use their soul power to stimulate the circulation of the soul power in his body and let his own soul power take control over it. Xuan wondered why Elder Mu must have chosen him as his successor, and the process must be very painful. But he heard that Yu had not even screamed the slightest. He was relieved to hear that, and considered Yu very tenacious, and realizing that absorbing all the energy into his cultivation would benefit him a lot in his future. The soul energy stored was too great in him, and he was able to recover and improve by just taking control over it. He could only store the excess energy in his soul bone and slowly absorb it. But it was possible that he would lose control over that body part, and he would not be able to move it. If so, then he could only participate with only his upper body unaffected by the soul energy. If he participated with his ability, he could definitely be of great help to the team. Yu had reached his limit for his feat, but there was still some more left. His previous assumptions were not wrong, but at that moment, the compressed soul power was trying to leak out. If it would reach his meridians, it was going to become a huge problem. Elder Xuan suggested him not to push himself in the tournament, but he disagreed and said that he had to represent and participate in for Tang Sect. He also said that if his 2 legs were not enough, he would just add it to one of his arms. He still had a soul bone in his left hand that was also the Ice Empress soul bone. Dong'er got the news that Yu could only move his right hand and upper body, and it freaked her out realizing that he had to endure all that just for her. Her eyes were filled with tears. His legs and left arm had completely gone frozen. Dong'er tried to help him to get up, but he stopped her, saying that he wanted to do it himself. He got up and showed to her that he did it on his own, and was ready to represent and participate in for Tang Sect. Xuan felt very sorry for him. As the time of the start of Soul Master Tournament was getting closer, a meeting was held in the Tang Sect's meeting room. Yu inquired Xuan Ziwen about their sect's underground factory construction. He told him that it was going well, and he could calm down a little. With the addition of Xuan Ziwen to the sect, had entered a period of high speed in terms of progress, especially with the support of Shrek Academy. Ziwen suggested that after discussing with Shrek Academy, the underground factory would be used for Soul Guide production for Tang Sect. It was going to take about 3 years for their underground factory to advance to mid-level. Yu told him not to worry, as they would provide all the needed rare materials. For Tang Sect's underground factory, the Academy invested heavily into purchasing a number of rare metals continuously all over the continent. As a result, the stock price of all the rare metals had increased by 10%, but the Shrek 7 monsters had no time to care about that. There was an important tournament coming up ahead. Yu informed everyone that they would be leaving the next day, 7 of them with Nana, so in total they were 8 of them. He suggested that Brother Ji, Brother Mo, and Sister Xian were going to stay back and take care of the sect while they were gone. But Sister Xian objected on that. He asked her what was wrong. She replied that it was the tournament, so they would like to go too. But their age exceeded the limit mentioned in the rules. All of them were 20. She questioned him what he was going to do if the opposing team had brought many people. They were familiar with that region and claimed to protect them while they would be there. But he thought that the 2 of them would only cause troubles if they were going with them. She sought his input that how could he ignore such a good chance, and he would definitely need someone to push his wheelchair while he was there. Brother Mo suggested that he could also help. It confused Yu and then he decided that he would ask Brother Bebe to do that for him, and he was not going to need them both. But it was finally decided that they could come along, but only if they were going to promise to take good care of Yu. On the other side, at the Shrek Academy's inner court practice arena, Chuer was training someone and asked him with his current strength. He really thought if he could beat Yu and told him that Yu was strong and could easily beat him even with one hand. As he continued practicing, she asked him to stop and go back to get some rest as they were leaving the next day for the tournament. When Yu and others were on the way to the tournament, Sister Xian questioned him that even though he was on the wheelchair, why was he insisting on taking part in the tournament? He responded that he had some energy to spare. That's why he was participating. She really missed the good old days when they used to fight each other. He inquired if she was someone known as a masochist, and if she really liked that much getting beaten up by him. She got frustrated and said if he was actually making fun of her when she was caring for him, questioning Dong'er of how she was managing with him. But Dong'er knew he was always like that, and she was used to it. Xian was thinking when Yu Hao would get off that wheelchair and stand up again, they could have a fight again. He responded that why can't they have it in that moment, bragging that even if he could use only one hand, he would still give her the sensation of defeat. Listening, that made her very angry. Yu Hao started to cough a lot. Xian told him that even if he say like that, she would not fight someone was a cripple. He informed her again that even thought he could use only one hand, he could still beat her. And if she did not believe him, why don't they just try it out? Donger asked him if he was being serious that time. He answered with a yes, asking Sister Xian if she was afraid. She responded that why she would be afraid of him. She just thought she should not bully him as he was a cripple, but immediately after she said that, she was in another dimension where it was dark everywhere. She was all alone. She called out Yushin and Bei, but no one was there. Yukin came from the back and queried her what happened. She did not know why couldn't she see others and didn't know why she had come there after hearing his voice. She continued questioning where everyone else had gone. Yukin placed a sword on her neck and she asked what he was doing. She blinked her eyes and was back to Yu Hao and others. Yu Hao stated that no wonder why she didn't want to fight him before, and she should have known that she was not able to beat him a long time ago. She confronted him fiercely that how he did that. Everyone would not have believed if they had not seen it with their own eyes. Yu Hao, who could use only his one hand, was still capable to beat Xian all on his own. Sister Xian claimed that it was not fair, as she was not ready for the fight right away, and noted to fight again. Yu Hao confusingly kept on staring at Donger. Everyone got curious if they were going to fight again, but they had no idea why Yu Hao was doing by looking at Donger. She noticed that his eyes changed and seemed to be filled with endless tenderness. She could see her reflection in his eyes. She could feel it within his gaze that their hearts were connected through it. It was a new path that was not being explained. She told him that he could admit defeat. He did not have to push himself if he was tired. Suddenly, a very bright and strong light started to come out of Yu Hao. Everyone standing around could not keep their eyes open and there was smoke all around. Xian fell on the ground and started to cough. She could not believe how she was attacked when the smoke had covered her completely. She felt like someone was strangling her throat. Yu Hao asked her if she still wanted to continue, but she could not summon her martial soul anymore. Moreover, her four was trembling constantly. She had felt it somewhere before, too. Brother Ji constantly asked him how he did that and requested to teach him too. Yu Hao informed him that it was only possible if he was deeply in love with someone, and he had Donger in his mind even when he was on the verge of life and death. Unlike other spiritual abilities around the world, that was his own exclusive ability. He also didn't know what happened to him after the clone Donger appeared. Brother Ji knew Yu Hao was always one step ahead of him and found him very amazing. Ji asked him since when he had become that strong, and he also wanted to train and become that strong. Everyone requested to be their secret weapon that time too. He was asked if that invincible ability he showed earlier, his second soul skill. His spiritual power seemed to be reached a new height, and they queried what realm he was then. He ignored their question and told them that they had crossed the no-fly zone, and they were able to use their soul guides to fly to complete the journey. At Mingdu, Tang Wulin and Juzi were having a conversation. He asked her about his father and how he was doing. She informed that doctors had told that it was imperial, but she was afraid that Emperor's body could not take that anymore. He said that his father's life was really unfortunate, and then questioned her how the military had reacted by listening that news. She told him that they were calm. Ever since they had taken the control of Waicheng district, the opposition from the military had disappeared, but they would naturally come if he was ascended to the throne. The 5 generals were strong people who guarded their borders. She notified him that some people were objecting, and there were even enemies for princes. She suggested him that there was no need to be in a hurry, and if they would still stay stubborn till the end, they could always replace them. He advised her that she does not need to be so stiff between them, and after he was ascended to throne, he would make the queen of the entire world. She sat on her knees and said to him that she had only 2 wishes. One was to stay with him all the time, and the other was the destruction of Star Luo Empire. He promised her to make both of her wishes come true and requested her not to be like that to him. If it was not for her saving him that time, he would have definitely died. Around the subordinates around him, she was the one who he could truly trust. He asked her if she had completed the preparations for the tournament. She responded with a yes, and that everything was going according to the plan. He questioned if anyone noteworthy from the Shrek Academy was going to come. They were the champions in the previous tournament. He felt pity about a person that he was from Shrek Academy, or else he would have definitely bought him to their side. And again, he was still wondering how he could bring the academy to their side. He was curious how they would react when they were going to see their Sun and Moon Imperial Royal Academy's team. On the other side, Bei wondered what surprises were waiting for them. He suggested everyone to rest there for a while as their destination, that was Mingdu, was only 100 kilometers away from there. Donger told Yu Hao that it was time to eat, and she fed him the food with her hands. His other companions saw that and tried to feed each other by their hand just to make them fall in love so they could also have the same powers. Sister Xian felt jealous by seeing everyone in love with each other. Ji referred them as kids and said they were not only lucky when it was about love, but also in strength when it was about fighting. She admitted that she was not good at loving. They were two singles who were not happy with their life. While they were all eating, Yu Hao heard a voice of someone approaching and warned everyone about it. There was a group of 14, dressed in black and were riding horses. They were horn-scale horses, which meant that a bunch of rich people were arriving. Horn-scale horses were different from ordinary horses. They were actually soul beasts. Although they were not good at attacks, they had a really good defense and stamina. And the price of a single Ho-scale horse was about 5,000 to 10,000 gold soul coins. So if there were people who were riding them, then it meant they were the rich people. They came to them, and one of the horse rider greeted them with gratitude and referred them as their fellow soul masters. He asked if they were also going to Mingdu to join the Soul Masters tournament. Bei Bei replied that they were also going to Mingdu for the tournament, and they were representing the Tang sect. They had heard that Tang sect was really old ancient sect. They were from the Heavenly Armor sect and were going to participate too. They had traveled a long way till there and asked if they could rest for a while. Bei Bei offered them some food they had bought along. They thanked him for having them along, saying it was fate to meet them all. Yu Hao was resting by keeping his head in Dong'er's lap. A man came along with his team from behind and decided to rest there. He saw Yu Hao's group and the Armor sect group resting and decided to go to them. He saw a horn-scale horse. Unfortunately, it was slower than a soul guide. He called them the country bumpkins and decided to snatch their food. He was very hungry and had ran out of food as Radiant City was too far from there. He called them out from far away and asked them to give him some food. He saw Dong'er from far away and found her very beautiful. He went to her and told that his name was Feng Ling. He told her that he was a genius from the Heavenly Gate sect. He complimented her about her beauty. She asked him to get lost from there. He responded that how she had dared to tell him to leave. He questioned her if she knew who he was. He was the young master of Heavenly Gate sect and his father was the current gate master.